Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara's busy. And how's everybody doing tonight? So I want to apologize off the bat. I have a video that's ready to go up. I should have had the video up already, but I got busy and I forgot to push the button to make it go, on the internet, even though it's uploaded ready and it's sitting there. So I'll just upload it after this video. It's actually pretty good. It was just a EDC video about what I carried today and what I went to work with, what I tested. And I talk a little bit about, how it went. What are you guys talking about? More or less than views, my job is done. So, there's a bunch of things I wanted to talk about. I don't have a huge list, but there's one little entertaining thing that I want to talk about, and this isn't nothing knife related. I guess it would be, I wouldn't even call it self-defense related. It's a Bobcat story. I saw it on another channel, and it was a Bobcat with rabies. And this lady and this guy, they're getting ready to leave. They look like they have their pet in a carrying case, getting ready to go to the vet or something. I don't know. Anyways, their pet's in the carrying case, and you can see the Bobcat coming across the road. And the lady's, like walking in between their two cars. And the Bobcat goes around the car and jumps on the woman's back, starts, going at her. And she starts screaming for dear life, and, the husband, being her husband, knows, that sound of, get into action, I guess, like this, something's bad happening, And so he runs over there and he sees this Bobcat on her back and he just grabs it straight up. And he's got a firearm on him. But, obviously it's on her back. There's nothing, he can't do anything about that. So he grabs the thing and picks it up, and now he's got it like this, by the neck and like by the hide, I guess, kind of, and he's holding it. But this thing's, it's a Bobcat. It's clawing him, it's probably messing them all up. And he whips it, throws it. It hits the ground and then comes running right back for more. Except for it doesn't run like directly at him. It runs underneath the car like it's going after the woman again. But crazy ass story. He wound up, taking it out after that, but I thought it was crazy. The thing did have rabies. They had to go to the hospital. They did have a bunch of wounds on them, but I just thought that was nuts. A long time ago, I went on a hunting trip and traded a what did I trade? This was a long time ago. I went on a hunting trip. Oh, I traded a firearm for a dead Bobcat. I was gonna get it stuffed, but I never wound up getting it stuffed, but it was cool anyways. But getting into some nice stuff. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, so this clip point, the new Tucson TS301. So I've been testing it at work, and one small problem I've been having, which is so tiny, and I'm obviously going to be able to work it out, but being that it has the belly it has, this thing is super slicey, very, very slicey. When I'm passing through materials, I keep letting the belly slip out. And that's one problem I think that and it's not even that big of a deal because, you can work it out, just don't pull your cuts all the way through. Keep them nice and centered, close to your hand or towards the middle of the blade. Don't let it go over this way because then it'll just come out. But, with a clip point, I guess, or a big bellied knife, that's always going to be an issue that you have to control through your cuts. But that thing's so damn slicey, it's almost hard because it's passing through so fast. It just almost wants to just like come out. But no big deal. Obviously, you just adjust your type of cutting. Just like, if you're going to use a small knife, you're going to have to adjust, or whatever type of knife, you're going to have to adjust, the type of cutting you're doing based on the things you're cutting. Seems Logical says, I like that Tucson. is making knives that aren't their carbon fiber titanium frame combo. They do a great job when they go outside their design comfort zone. I agree. And man, this thing is amazing. An amazing knife. This thing, the build quality is so good. And it makes you so excited, I think, to be able to get, because the fit, the finish, everything. This thing feels like a $300-400 knife all day. So to get it for a, such a good deal under $100, that's crazy. And it makes me excited for like to look for more Tucsons like afterwards, because of the excitement. I want them going on eBay and throwing out some bids. I hope I lose a couple of them now. They got bid on a few too many. But
there's also a brown recluse out here. You gotta come tell.
I'm not coming out there, baby. Okay, I'll get it later. Why don't you trap it for me? I'll get it, baby. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear her, but she's wanting me to go kill a damn spider. That's the only one? Oh, okay. That's the one to get knives. But yeah, this one is definitely impressing me. Like a lot. It's, and Tucson's quality, I know as the numbers go up, there were a couple, I'll be honest, a couple that I wasn't that impressed with. I kind of felt like they were backtracking, because for my Tucson journey, it seemed like every knife that I got that had a larger number. So like they say, they started at 5, 20 was better than 5, 30 was better than 20, and so on and so forth. So after it got past like 100, that's when, from my experience, they started working on their grinds, and they really thinned them out. Not necessarily the spine, but the thinness behind the edge. They got really good at geometry. No, she says it's a brown recluse. It's probably a fucking daddy long leg. But they started working on their geometry. And then it seemed like every one I got after that, like after 100, was better than the last. And if not like a better knife, like meaning like that I liked it more, but just like the little fine details, like their clips were better. Like I said, their grinds were better. Some of their action was better, just little details. And then I ran into a couple that, in my opinion, I felt like they backtracked a little bit. But then there's some, like this one I run across, and I'm blown away. Like, Tim, it's like, it almost makes me feel like, why would I ever spend money on something? And don't get me wrong, I get the same feeling from knives that, are, expensive and amazing. Like, I do get the same feeling, but there's just something to spending a low amount of money and getting something that just blows you away. It's like, man, because if this was any other company, I don't know about any other company, if it was an American made knife, this would be a $350-450 knife. If it was made by Riat, which in my opinion, the quality ain't much different when you're talking about this specific one, it would be a $350 knife. Yes, guys, if you guys wouldn't mind, please hit that like button. And if you want to help me out with, what do we pass? We're at 8.1 thousand subscribers, so we're definitely trying to hit 9,000 next. So if you want to help me out by throwing me a sub, I'd really appreciate it if you like the content. And yes, and thank you for all the likes, and thank you all to the Patreons and everybody who supports, all the people that watch the commercials, I guess you could say, the ads. I really appreciate it. But yeah, man, Tucson's killing it though. They really are. And there's one in specific that I'm kind of looking for, which I did have for review one time, and I never would have thought I'd like it, but I still think about it. That's how much I liked it. And you wouldn't even think, if you looked at it, you wouldn't think this would be one that I personally like, or maybe even you. But the build quality was just that damn good. And that was the Tucson TS230. Is Ray in here? What's up, bud? Show some love to the homie. Let's do a podcast. I'm ready whenever you are. And I apologize for not making it to that one. I really do, man. I'm sorry about not making it to that one, me and Kara. But yeah, I'm ready, man. Whenever. I'm always ready. What's up, John Evans? And everybody else, you need help with the spider? I might, because I might not be able to bid on any more Tucsons until I kill some unlucky spider in the next room. So what else did I want to talk about? Aesthetics. So I don't think not one of us don't get caught up in aesthetics, right? Because the first thing you're going to see is what it looks like. And we're all attracted to something different. You know, some people look at blade shapes, some people look at materials, some people, you know, they look at the price versus the materials. I think everybody does that, but just certain things really capture our eyes. I know for me personally, the few things that really capture my attention when I look for a knife is the grind, the choil, the shape. So like the blade shape versus the handle shape, those three things, they really capture my attention. Materials, obviously, I think everybody wants to get good materials. Breeze says, to whom it may concern, likes tremendously help the channel. If you haven't liked the video, please take time to show your appreciation for Jared's time. The algorithm will appreciate your generosity. Thank you, Breeze. Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Yes, it does help me to grow the channel and for more viewers, or viewers to see the channel. That is how the algorithm works. The more traction the video gets, the more people see it. And I have had some videos lately that have been getting some pretty good traction. And, I'm loving it. And I appreciate you guys, watching and following, subbing, and just all the things you guys do for the channel to keep it going. But yeah, the aesthetics though, I don't know anybody that only buys a knife based on, for whatever, like the name, or just based on materials. I mean, I got caught up in that for a little bit where I was specifically looking for materials, but it didn't matter if that knife had those materials if it didn't capture my eye. Like if it was a certain shape, it didn't matter if it had the materials I was looking for. Like before I tried my Carta. I guess before I tried my Carta on a folding knife, I was, sucked into it. I had to have one. And everywhere I looked, my next knife was going to have to be a knife with my Carta. And finding one that fit the bill, meaning, your pocketbook, and what it, how it looked, it was a little tough, but when you see it, you know it. And when like when that certain one pops out, you're like, yep, that's the one right there. And it usually costs about $100 more than you got. But yeah, I don't know what you guys aesthetically look for, or what really captures your eye. I think some people get caught up in the looks just a little too much, because something could be fully functional as a tool and have a more functional blade shape, but then their attraction towards, whatever the blade shape is, or grind, or whatever, is beautiful. It looks good. It really does. It looks badass. But is it logical? Is it gonna benefit you, in use? And a lot of times, no, it's not going to. And sometimes it'll hinder it. Sometimes it makes it worse. It makes the cutting and performance way worse. But damn it, does it look good? Tanner, thank you for commenting. He says, I like straight line knives. I know what you mean, because I kind of have that too, like especially with handles. I like, just bust one out. I like a neutral grip. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like ergos like the Spyderco PM2, you know, where it's not a neutral grip. It's the exact opposite of like a neutral grip. It has places for your fingers, but a neutral grip catches my eye a lot. We'll bring back up the Tucson again. This one, very neutral, just a straightforward grip, nice straight line in the back. That straight line to me means that when I push, when I'm cutting, it means all that pressure is going to be evenly distributed across my hand. So that's why that captures my eye. Now, I'm not a massive fan of straight backs, meaning the blade of the knife is a straight back. So like this would be a drop point blade, but if this spine went straight across, that would be a straight back. I'm not a huge fan of straight backs. I've had some. They were originally made for like cutting rope and just kind of an all-terrain knife, a jack of all trades knife. That's originally what the straight back was for. It was supposed to be like basically like a stronger, tougher version of the drop point. So the drop point was a jack of all trades blade shape, but the straight back was more of a harder use version of the drop point. I like Hinders and Hobacks. I like them both too. Great knives. Theo says, totally guilty here. Sheep's foots are great for me for use, but I prefer the look of drop points. You know, I'm the same way. I like both of those. I love a good drop point. I think they're very attractive looking, but same thing with the sheep's foot. For whatever reason, those two blade shapes are most attractive to me. Sheep's foots and drop points. Now, I don't know which one's more attractive to me because they both look good, but I will say this: there's certain specific sheep foots that, because everybody knows there's so many different styles of sheep's foot that, you know, like depending on the kind, but there's certain ones that when I see it, it's like, I'm drawn to it. I'm so drawn to it, even more so probably than a drop point sometimes. But I'm talking about a specific, you know, a specific sheep foot. Now, when you add the grind to it at the same time, oh man, sold. Yeah, because that grind, you can see, not depending on how good the picture is, but a lot of times you can really see like whether or not it's going to be your style by seeing that grind and the blade shape mixed. He's not talking to me. I might read it anyways. I like to read up on people's stuff. Mark says, I'm the same way. Tanner says, just saved up enough to get a lion steel. Nice. That's awesome. That's one. I haven't had a lot of lion steels. I definitely want to, though. I know they have those aluminum integrals. They look pretty interesting. Knife Collector says, I just watched your Hoback OSF. Good video. Thank you. Thank you. That was a long time ago. Yeah, that thing is definitely, that knife, you know, like we were talking about earlier, Hinders too, definitely hard use knives. Hobacks, from the Hobacks I've tried, they are very, very hard use, thick grinds, thick behind the edge, but they're built strong, so it makes sense. Now, talking about thick grinds, you want to get a Spartan blade? Yeah, Spartans are nice. Spartans are real nice. That's another hard use one. Very hard use, but built tough, so it makes sense. And speaking about like thick behind the edge knives, some of the benefits, because I talk a lot about geometry, blade geometry, edge geometry, cutting geometry, some of the benefits to having, say, and I'm specifically talking about thick behind the edge, not meaning necessarily the spine thickness, but thickness behind the edge, so like 20 thousandths. Some of the benefits to it is, one, when you're sharpening, you can really see how your angle's being laid and the grit. You can see the grip pattern very, very well. Another thing that's a benefit is the bite that you get, because it's kind of like a saw blade. Think about a saw blade. When you sharpen, you have the teeth at the edge that are nice and big, so it feels so sharp. Knives that are thick behind the edge, when you taper that angle right to the edge, you know, when you touch it after you're done sharpening it, those teeth, you can really feel them on a thick blade. Another thing is they're going to be tougher. They're going to be able to handle more abuse. So there are benefits to an edge being thicker behind the edge. Now, where I find a problem is when it's thick behind the edge and thick on the spine, and the taper isn't good. I don't care if it has both, as long as the taper is, you know, on point. Now, knives that are thin spined but are a little thick behind the edge, I don't mind that. That to me is just fine, because then I know the taper will be just fine. Something just happened, guys. Hang on. I don't know what just happened. I just lost everything. Son of a bitch. There we go. But my Aunt Dawn says Rockstead. Let's pop it out. Bang. Oh, speaking about this, so a bunch of people brought it to my attention that some of these war spear knives that I just did the unboxing for, which I got a lot of views on. I appreciate you guys watching that. A lot of people brought it to my attention that I don't know if they're necessarily clones, but well, the one does look very, very similar to old Rocky here, but besides that, a bunch of people told me that they found the exact same design with a different name on it from another company. So most likely it's either a company using the same design, as you know, they're kind of just sharing a design from a same designer, because we see that too. Like, think about like Dirk Pinkerton. Dirk Pinkerton did the exact same design with Kaiser that he did with Concept. That doesn't mean they were cheating, stealing, or anything like that. But with this situation, it's more than likely something more, I hate to use the word sinister, but where they're copying, or they're something like that. Or it's the same exact design, same company, I should say, using just a different name. So like they're putting whatever on this one and then putting a different brand on this one, same company making the same knife. But they brought it to my attention that there were a bunch of them that were, or there was a couple companies using the exact same knife. I don't know, but that could affect the review. I don't like to give too much information before a review comes out, because I don't know how it's going to fall into place, and I don't like people to not watch because they think they already know what's going to happen, when 9 times out of 10 it changes. But you know, just be prepared. It might be, you might not want to jump and just go buy one if that's something that bothers you. What do you think of those off-grid knives? I haven't tried any, but they look good. They look like solid knives from what I hear from some other respectable knife reviewers. They seem like they're good, but I haven't had one though. So, oh, that's not to me. Really like the off-grid Viper. I keep clicking on hers. Manufacturer making it and selling it to X company, put their label on. Right. It's kind of like some of the things I do for the distillery. Like if we make the same batch, or same product, but you know, whatever company can pay to have their logo on it, or their sticker, their brand. You know, it's our product, but you know, they can pay for a label, you know. So that's basically probably what it is. It's just the same company selling it to whoever, you know, wants to put their brand on it. But that does cause a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit of conflict of interest, because you like knowing that, I don't know, like a company has a little bit more integrity, that they're not just going to do that. Now, if it was a designer behind it, it would make sense. It would be okay to me. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily right now, but it possibly could be. But if it was just a designer, that's just his designs. That's what he likes to make. What's up, Talika? But SOG knives. I want to speak a little bit about SOG knives in just a second. How do I get my notifications back? All I know is to make sure all notifications are turned on with the bell, and that's how I have it. So you got to hit the bell and then make sure it says all. So yeah, all notifications after hitting the bell, but then also check your phone device. Your phone device, sometimes you have your notifications turned off, meaning that all notifications are silent. So but it would still show up in your video list, on YouTube. But Curvy knife is my EDC right now. Curvys make good knives. I got a bunch of them. I like them. But yeah, Talika, check your actual phone. You're getting nothing, huh? I had somebody else tell me that they kept getting unsubscribed. That they subscribed like 5 times, and every time they went back and checked, they were unsubscribed. I know that happened to me a while back with a bunch of channels, but yeah, I would check your phone device. And sometimes people don't get the notifications like right instantly, even though they should, especially because I went live immediately. A lot of times I sit in here and like go for like 15 minutes. Usually by 7:15, I got it prepped and ready. This time I didn't because I was letting the computer charge. So it could have been my fault. I'll try unsub and resub. Yeah. That's how everybody unsubs from me. Chandler from Arizona, what's up? Does anyone know what a Rockstead is? You know what? SOG. I want to talk about SOG. That's what it was. That Rockstead is pricey. Yes, Rocksteads are pricey. They are very expensive, but the tolerances and build quality is insane. Thing is, though, is you can't get a Rockstead. Like a lot of people, I think people fall into this, being addicted to the action. Me too. I am too. But you like when people say smooth, right? So like smooth. If you don't know what Sabenza smooth means, like me, I was under the impression when I would hear people talk about Sabenza smooth. I was used to, bearing smoothness. So that's kind of the way I pictured it, but it's different. It's more like a grease smoothness where it's not drop shutty. I can slap it shut, but it's not drop shutty. It's very stiff. But in the same breath, even though it's stiff, it's luxuriously smooth. The tolerances are very tight, extremely tight. You can't muscle any play out of these. But you see, once I disengage the lock bar, it can drop. It's very, very smooth. But it's like Sabenza smooth. Holy moly, just received an SR1 in both Tanto and clip point and a 4 Max light today. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Hell yeah. Okay, so we are about to talk about the SOGs. That SOG Terminus XR LTE is what I want. So, the SOGs. So, I want to give SOG some credit in this video because I got into a conversation with somebody earlier about SOG, right? Because I had bashed them a little bit. And it's not that I bashed them. In the review that I did on the SOG Terminus, I gave that a good review. In my opinion, it got a great review. It's a great knife, a badass knife. But the knives prior to the XR lock, and I'm specifically talking about before the XR lock, they were going downhill fast. And I didn't want to see Breeze has a Terminus. Yeah, he can't find his right now. Got to be between the cushions or something. That happens for sure. But I didn't want to see them turn into Gerber. I really didn't. I want all the best for all knife companies, all of them. But I don't like seeing the ones that just take advantage of the advertising. And what they do is they spend a ton of money on advertisements so that everybody, when they think of knife, they think of Gerber, right? So then when they go into Walmart or something, they think Gerbers are good, not realizing they're getting fucking ripped off. And I'm not saying there's no good Gerbers out there. I'm saying the mass majority, right? Well, I didn't like seeing that from SOG, seeing them turn into that, where, you know, out of 10 knives, 8 of them are going to have issues and 2 of them might be good. And you're paying way too much money for them and they're not worth the value. They're giving you cheap steel, you know, let alone the steel, the heat treat and the fit and finish and just everything. But once they cleaned house, which they did, they totally cleaned house. I think they got rid of all their, I don't want to quote them or anything because I don't know if this is 100% true, but I think I heard them say something like they got rid of everybody, like part of their QC and their quality control, and hired a whole new team of people and basically redid their whole shop and, you know, took all the did whatever they had to do to make it to where their knives when they left were gonna be good. They were gonna have good quality control. They were gonna upgrade their parts and start making good knives again, which I give them all the credit in the world. And I just don't want people to think like some of the times when I've bashed SOG in videos, I give them so much credit and I think they're making great knives now. I'm talking about before the XR lock and now that we have the XR lock, from what I've seen, all the knives with the XR locks are really good. I don't know about their other knives that don't have the XR lock, but I almost pulled the trigger in Kiku XR today. Sweet knife. I don't think anybody can go wrong with them SOGs now. Only SOG I'm waiting for is the OTF. Supposedly no blade play. See? And that's what I mean. Like that they're actually fighting to make a good product for a knife guy, for knife people, not the guy walking by in the store that's going to put a knife in his pocket and break it tomorrow. Which I know there still has to be knives for people like that, but you can sell them a good product so that they can at least get a couple weeks out of it. SOG is actually starting to not put SOG on every available surface on some models. Right. That's another thing. And that's when you can tell a knife company really is more about advertising than giving you a good product, when everywhere you look, you see the brand's name. Which I don't even think they like to be called SOG no more. They want to be called, what is it? Oh man, I can't even remember now. But they don't like being called SOG now. They want to be called SOGs or the what those letters stand for. I can't remember what it stands for. SOG is on the up and up. The guy at my local knife shop was telling me that back in December. Glad to see he was right on that claim. Yeah, they are, and I think they are too. When I listened to the guy whoever runs SOG, he was explaining that how they went through their entire shop and they redid basically all their QC and made sure that their shit was up to par and was the quality control, the people that are in charge of their quality control, because that's what it's going to be about, is the people running that team. It's going to be about the people that, damn it, this damn focus. It's going to be the people that are checking them going out the door, saying, they feel a bunch of blade play and they're like, it's good. It's all right. Just going to Walmart, that guy should be like, no, this ain't leaving this fucking shop like that. And I'm not trying to bash CRKT. I know we have a lot of CRKT fans in the fucking house tonight, but when I got that Pilar, that thing was so bad out of the package. And first of all, I grabbed one from the case that was perfect. It was great. It was top notch. Loved it. Went to buy one. Got one off the the shelf there because they come in a package. And when I opened it up, it was the worst knife I've ever opened up. I mean, one, it barely opened, right? You could not flick it. Like, you had to two-hand it, not centered. It scraped, and in order to, to adjust it, like, there was no adjusting it. So whoever let that thing out of the fucking thing, it's like, how could you let this out of your place? It scrapes You can open it with one hand, and it's not centered. Like, to me, that's very irresponsible from a knife company, especially one like CRKT that has the team to make sure that they only let out quality. In the handful of CRKTs that I've owned, have had problems of one sort or another. My minimalist is probably not hardened. Yeah, yeah, and that's what I've had too. Same experience. But in my opinion, I think it was more like 90% all had some sort of issue. There's been a couple, I think, that didn't like really have any issues. Like the worst thing that the one had was a detent lash, but it's still something, right? That's still something. But almost every single CRKT I've ever bought had an issue. And I'd like to see CRKT do the same thing. Now, I know they make good knives. I'm not saying they don't. Even their new Pilar, people are screaming from the hilltops about that thing. And I bet that thing's badass because the Pilar is something that now they've made, what, three of them? Well, they made the regular one, and then they made the big one, and then now this is the third one. So they should have that knife down pat by now, right? So Lindy Lou's in the house. The only CRKT I ever bought was a Pilar a few months ago. It was the biggest piece of shit. The lock face on the blade tang was burnt to shit, and there was the fattest burr I'd ever seen. Turn me off. Yeah, that is definitely a turn off. And that's what I mean. And so to me, and that me personally, I need my money, right? Like I don't, if I'm gonna spend $40 on a knife, $60, $80, whatever the fuck it is, I want to make sure I'm getting what I'm paying for and then some. I like knowing that I'm getting more for my money. Like kind of like I was saying with this Tucson. This thing's blown me away so much that it made me go on eBay and start fucking trying to bid on knives. So that says something, right? That the knife getting it in hand, it impressed me so much that it made me want to get more rather than, turn me off and make me just say, fuck that company. Definitely go check out Knife Modders. That's Lindy Lou and Richie B. Q and Fiend just threw up the link. Thank you, Fiend. I appreciate it. Tim A says, I took apart a Pilar and inside of the scales were rough and the blade tang had a huge burr on the backside and burnt. Looked awful. I gave it away. And right, and I've heard that stuff all across the board, and I don't want people to have a Pilar that like it and carry it and think it's a good knife to be put off by that knife. Because if you have a good one, that's a good thing. And I've even held good ones, like really good ones. Like, put it this way, the one at the shelf, I grabbed the one from the package because that one was so good. Like, it was awesome. And the one Timbo sent me, the S35VN version, I think it was a Blade HQ exclusive. That thing was awesome. It was badass. But those I don't even want to call them outliers. Those overwhelming majority of pieces of shit make them look bad. Only CRKT I've ever had was a D2 cleaver minimalist, and I've had no problems, but that's only one situation, right? And that's what I mean. Like, I don't want people to think just, because I'm talking about them, because I'll tell you what, there's some CRKT fanboys out there that'll find your address if you're talking about their Pilars. So I don't want nobody thinking that I'm talking shit. It's just, I'm calling it as I've seen it, and other people are too. And it is something that happens. I mean, and all companies aren't going to be perfect. No company's going to be perfect, but hey, thank you, man. Still subscribe. Suck that, YouTube. Yeah, we were talking about that. I was actually talking about you just a little bit ago about somebody that keeps getting unsubscribed. Somebody else was just telling me they're not getting my notifications. But yeah, awesome. I'm glad you're still subscribed. And thanks for coming, man. Thanks for being here. So, shout out. I just want to do a real quick shout out to 3-minute knife reviews. I was on his channel earlier, and you know, I don't know why that guy doesn't have 1 million fucking followers with all you guys that have the attention span of a box of donuts, because his videos are only 3 minutes long, which my analytics tell me that you guys only like to watch 3 minutes of a 20-minute video. So I don't know how that guy doesn't have 1 million fucking followers. And yes, I'm talking shit to all you guys that only watch 2 minutes of a fucking video. I think it's hilarious. But no, I get it. You know, I don't know. I try not to do the same thing because in a lot of videos, people will watch, right? And if you're not interested in the knife, that's one thing. Obviously, you're not interested. Who gives a fuck, right? But sometimes there's information in there that doesn't necessarily have to do with the knife. But if you're a knife fan, then there might be information in there that might interest you anyways. Like I might talk about, say, that specific steel or something, you know, whatever, who knows, or that specific type of clip, you know, or whatever. But because I try to teach something in most videos, but also if you are interested in that knife, a lot of people don't realize, probably because they only see 3 minutes of the video, that the bad comes in play. So I've seen a lot of people will comment, and a lot of people do watch, and then because they comment on some of the bad. And I'm not saying to focus on the bad. I'm saying I've seen comments where people are like, "Oh, awesome knife," right? And I'm thinking in my head, like, did you not watch the video? Like, the fucking thing had X, Y, and Z wrong with it, and you know, left a scar on my hand or something. You know, I don't know. I'm just talking shit, but I think it's hilarious. Now call this group. At least they're good donuts. Which means they only watch 30 seconds of 3 minutes. Man, it's astonishing how, hey mom, my mom was in here. Well, it's astonishing to me how short of a span of like that we can focus on something. It's like everything is so much just like at our fingertips, like where we get instant gratification constantly, that a lot of us cannot fucking handle watching something that maybe like they're bored. Like, okay, put it this way, right? You're watching a video, it'll get to a part that you're not that interested in. What do? You double tap, don't you? You double tap 10 seconds because you're getting past that little part that doesn't mean nothing to you, even though it was only 5 seconds. So now you skip probably 5 seconds of something important just to get past 5 seconds of something you didn't like. Oh, it's hilarious. Shout out to EDC Journey. Definitely go check his channel out. Bang. EDC Journey's in the house. Definitely go sub to his channel, along with anybody else that that's in here that has a channel. Only 3 minutes. They missed the best parts. Yeah, it's like not all. Like okay, so this is how the analytics go, and this is what I've noticed. Okay, so like knife reviews. Knife reviews get about 4 minutes on average. And this is an average, right? That doesn't mean like some of you guys don't watch 8 minutes or 10 minutes or even the full 15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it is, because some of you guys are actually interested in knowing every detail. And so, you know, and there are certain things, and I'm trying now not to put information in there that you can just fucking look up. Like if you notice, I don't say any specs anymore. I literally put a spec sheet up and get over it, because you can look that information up or look at the spec sheet, read for yourself. But what I try doing is giving you all the information that you cannot see in a picture, that you cannot just read, that if you are interested in that knife, which in some cases, sometimes if you're not interested in the knife, if you watch it, you might be interested in it, because I know there's been a lot of times like that I've opened up my horizon and paid attention to knives that I wasn't interested in, and then it actually drew me to it because of whatever reason. And then it got me into that knife style, brand, company, whatever, because of X, Y, and Z. And I'm happy it did. But yeah, about 4 minutes for knife reviews, specifically knife reviews. Now, when we get into top fives, top tens, those are the ones that get the best time. if I'm showing a knife, right? Like this is the Tucson TS301 14C28N micarta titanium frame lock carbon fiber. This is the Medford Slim Midi titanium frame lock S30. Like when I do a video like that, fucking you guys are all over that shit. That's when your span of where you can tolerate something because it doesn't last very long and it gets something else in front of your eyes. It's kind of like that like watching a video that constantly changes, right? I think there's some YouTubers that talk about that. Like that's why they do that. They constantly change the scenery of their video. So like say if they do a review, you won't see the review in the same place. And I'm talking about different products, doesn't have to necessarily be knives, but they constantly change the scenery because your attention span can't handle looking at the same scenery for more than fucking 30 seconds. So it'll change to something else just to keep you watching. So if things are constantly popping up in front of you and changing, that's why little kids, have you seen little kids YouTube videos these days? Fucking crazy. They're so loud and obnoxious and crazy, and this is popping out here, this is popping out there, this backflipped here, you know, and it's like explosion here, and kids are just glued to it and they can't stop watching because it's constantly changing. Their attention span has to learn nothing. They literally have to pay attention to nothing because nothing will last more than 4 seconds in front of them, and they love it. But that's like, I guess, the generation that we're getting into. But I usually get between 6, 8, 10 minutes of watch time for, depending on how long the video is, but I'm a pretty good average between 6 to 8 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes of a top 5 or top 10 video. And that's why I do them a lot, because I do them, one, because I'm constantly getting different knives. So it gives me an opportunity to show more knives, but if you guys like it, and if you guys like it, I'm going to keep fucking doing it. And not only do you guys like it with views, so I get more views for videos like that, but also I get more watch time. So thank you. But I still take it serious. Like I'm still like, sometimes those are hard videos to do. And I say that because like, if I'm going to pick my top 10 drop points, I got to fist fight myself to pick between A and B knife. Like literally, I'll be fucking aggravated. Like which one should be number 9? Like when I did the top 5 knife steals, I was fighting with myself between S90V and M390. Why? I like S90V better. Why was I fighting with myself? Because I haven't had nowhere near as much S90V as M390. So I was like feeling, you know, this is obviously just something personal, but I was feeling like that I was bullshitting or something. Like how can you say that you like it more if you have not experienced a tenth of what you have with this steel? You own 50 knives in this steel, you own however many in this steel that doesn't even add up to that one. So like videos like that, it's you know, it can be tough to do because you're trying to be as honest as you can, and saying that steel was my favorite over that one, that doesn't make me a liar because I have more. But what I meant was that like I can say something, right? Like say if I said I like I don't know, I like AARPM 9 steel more than I like 9 CR, right? If I say that, but I've only tried 9 or AARPM 9 steel once, right? I've tried it once, and I've tried 9 CR 100 times, and I like them both, but I can't say that because I'm basing it off of one experience that might not mean anything. The Knife Whisperer says, hey, seems logical. My recent faves are the James brand. Oh, he's saying James brand, the Barnes, and A Purvis, Zerks, and Integral. Yeah, man, James brand. So my first experience with James brand was in Colorado. Hold on one second. It doesn't matter how many you own in that steel as long as you believe it when you say it. Make an annual video. Yeah, and that's what I mean. I don't think it matters how many you've had. That's what I was trying to get to, because I know I made it sound like that. Not that you have that many or anything, but what I'm trying to say is like that if you're your experience isn't enough to actually make a real judgment call on that, saying that that's your actual favorite. Like, I don't like just saying something because I'm saying it, or saying something because somebody else likes it, or because it's the the topic everybody would rather see you fit, or that bubble. I don't want to do that. I want it to be actually my experience and what I really like. And it was hard for me to decide between the two of whether or not I really did like. And in the end, I did realize, yes, I do like S90V more, but it was hard for me to really think of that experience. Like, man, I've had so much experience with M390, and my S90V, yeah, I've had experience with it, but it's so much smaller. So if I say have my M390 experience where I've had shit and good, right? And the good I love, right? I love the good part of M390 and 20CV. But I really dislike the shut part. Well, now with S90V, I can do the same thing with, if I've tried it 100 times, maybe it's the exact same thing. It might be. But if you've only experienced it a couple times and it was good, then you might not have experienced it enough to say that I've also experienced bad. It's kind of like this, right? What if I only tried M390 once and S90V 5 times, and I was saying that M390 is my favorite. I like M390 better. And now after that, 10 knives I get all have bad heat treats. But you guys see what I'm saying. Anyways, the Barnes, what the hell is it called? Damn it, Knife Whisper. Oh man. I gotta find it now. Because now I can't even think. James Brand. So the first time I experienced it was in Colorado. And I went into a place, and they had these little knives that were like $60. They're pretty expensive, but they were titanium, and I think 440C or something like that. Anyways, point is, they were very expensive for what they were trying to sell, but they did seem like they were good quality. So I didn't buy one or nothing. But I started kind of looking into them, and I started seeing people say, like, yeah, they're for hippies and like just weird things, right? And I realized, kind of like what Lefty EDC, Kevin over at Lefty EDC, definitely check out his channel. Shout out to Kevin over at Lefty EDC, and Knife Whisperer. Go sub to Knife Whisperer as well. But he laid it out basically like that. Their money is in advertising. They'll advertise their knives like crazy, right? So that you think they're a great knife company. And I'm not saying they're a bad knife company, but they're not a knife company that supports the knife community. Like, a lot of knife companies support the knife community massively, and they want to see their product do well because the knife community loves them, by word of mouth, not from a billboard that they paid for or a commercial ad that they paid for. They seem kind of like the company that, instead of sending their knife, like, I'm going to send my knife to this reviewer, tell me what you think, right? They seem more like the company that's like, hey, I need you to say this, this, and this. I'll give you $1,500 to say it. Like, that's kind of the way I think of them. However, that new knife that they just did, that Integral, that thing looks damn sweet, man. That thing looks really, really nice. And the look of it, the everything is right up my alley. I think it looks amazing. It's damn expensive, but damn it looks good. I'm curious. I haven't seen anybody yet because I don't know why, but nobody's measured the thickness behind the edge, which is that's what I want to know. That's what I've wanted to know this whole time from the thing, because the spine, I forget what it was, 140 thousandths or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the spine thickness was, but I remember when I seen it though, it wasn't as thick as it looked. It's not thin for sure, but I've been wondering, well, what's the thinness behind the edge? Because if you tell me thickness spine, edge thinness, I can see, because I can see how tall it is, whether or not it has decent geometry or not. Now, I would guess probably it's just average. It's probably 20,000s behind the edge. But I'd love to be surprised and somebody tell me it's 15 or something. But, and in that case, then I'm really in love. But that's my biggest curiosity right now is how thin it is behind the edge. But man, it looks like a sweet knife. A really sweet knife. OG Goblin says, got my Slim Midi Tanto in the mail today. The action is awesome. That is badass. You guys want to hear something funny? So OG, you're probably gonna love this. So if you guys don't know, Lefty EDC, he's got a Tanto version, right? Well, I kept telling him about, or I don't think I kept telling him, but I left some comments about my drop point version or whatever. Well, when he did the review or whatever, he was talking about how sexy the Tanto was, and that's why he picked that one. And I left him a comment on his video. I said, you know, studies show that guys that get the Tanto version of the Slim Midi have very small penises. And I said something after that, right? I thought it was funny. Then he winds up getting another one, and he starts talking about, because he gets another Tanto, the exact same knife, or not the exact same, but it's a Tanto, right? And he's talking in his video like, oh man, I just think the Tanto is really sexy, you know? Because everybody's like, why didn't you get a drop point version? You already have a Tanto. Why'd you? And then I left in the comments, I said, Kevin, I said, why aren't you honest with these people? Just be honest. I said, they can handle it. That it's you can't get a drop point version because studies show that you know, it's impossible for you to get a drop point version. You can only get a Tanto version because of your penis size. Like, it's okay, they can handle it. Just be honest with these people. And I thought it was hilarious. So now, like, every once in a while, he leaves me a comment back, like on Instagram or something like that. Like, he said, oh, this is what he said. I posted a picture of my drop point, and he goes, hey, Jared, you know, studies show that people that like the drop point version of the Slim Midi have a penis growing out of their ear. I said, yeah, but it's a real big one. Oh, man. Doesn't Slicey Dicey like Tantos? I like Tantos, too. I like Tantos. I think there's certain blade shapes that are more useful for certain jobs, but I also think Tantos are more useful for certain jobs than drop points. I just think it depends on what you do. Now, if yours is just literally for basic EDC, meaning it's not, like, say, for my work, right? That's specific things. If you're buying it just for EDC to carry in your pocket to open stuff up with, it won't matter which one you get. What's going to matter at that point is the grind. That's going to be more important. Yes, one blade shape would probably benefit you a little bit more depending on what your EDC tasks look like, but it's not going to hinder you to the point to where it's going to be impossible to do. Like, if you normally I don't know, like, if you have a boat or something, you cut ropes a lot, you know, like, that is going to be better for, you know, a specific blade shape more than another. So it just kind of depends. What's up, JN? Love the initials. Love the initials. I like how they look. I own a few. I just don't use them very much, or use them much. Yeah, I think everybody loves the way they look. It's the use that people get, some people aren't very good with. So me personally, my favorite one is the American Tanto. The American Tanto has the straight edge. Now, I like Japanese Tantos too, and I think sometimes the Japanese Tanto looks better than the American Tanto, but in use, specifically in use, I find that the American Tanto is versed better. Now, if you talk about, say, something like the Norseman, right? The Norseman has a recurve right here in the flat area. It's a recurved in. Then it has a belly up there. In that case, yeah, that's probably even more useful than the regular Japanese Tanto, or, you know, that kind of Tanto, because this secondary edge now becomes a point or more of a point. So it just kind of depends. There's so many different versions, and depending on what you do, man, because to me, an American Tanto with a hollow grind, exactly like the Medfords, a hollow grind with a flat in the tip, or like the Code 4 from Cold Steel, that is such a useful blade shape for construction, EDC, hard use, everything. Like, that is just an amazing blade shape. It works so good. You have two tips you can use, so you can use this tip or this tip, and this tip works really good because it has the hollow. People don't realize that, I don't think, with the Tanto, that the American Tanto's benefits, not always, because it just kind of depends, come from that hollow being thin right here, and then this portion being a little thicker, so it kind of traps materials into it when you're pulling through. That Curvy that I just reviewed, that one has a little bit of belly. That thing's sweet. It works really good. It still has a straight edge, an American Tanto, but it has a belly, so it works for slicing a little bit better than some Tantos will be. The Microtech Hellhound Tanto is the most useless Tanto blade ever. I reviewed because OTF sometimes, man, if you want to make an OTF, and this is specifically the companies that make OTFs, if you want to make an OTF that's badass and very useful, make it extremely thin. Sorry, guys. Staring to my eyes. I'm trying to make this damn thing focus, but make it thin. Make literally a very, very thin blade, like 90 thousandths thick, right? Then taper it, because what do they all do? They're very thick. Then they have this far to drop down to the edge. So they're all swedges. That's, to me, they're for, you guys know what they're for, right? But if you want to use an OTF for EDC, actual EDC use, which is what you're going to be using it for more than, say, poking anything, then it needs to be thin. Think about it. That is literally the exact opposite of a hard use knife. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen people take OTFs, cheap ones, not even expensive brands, cheap ones, and hammer them through a table without failing. I'm not saying the lock is weak. I'm just saying, the knife, period, it's not a hard use knife. So why are you making a hard use grind on a knife like that? But Tanto OTF. I'm not a big OTF fan either. I'm just not. I don't know. I used to be. I used to really like them. But I don't know. I think one, the little bit of rattle that kind of gets to me, and even if you have a very solid one, which, trust me, I've held very solid ones. I like them. I would rather have a knife I can deploy by hand than an auto, and that's with autos, period. That's with a push button auto, any type of auto. I'd rather be what's opening it up than a button or whatever. But everybody's got their preferences. Some people love autos way more than, deploying method. Gideon Stuff had a good question earlier about S35 steel becoming a budget steel now. It's showing up in sub 100 knives. Yeah, I think, just like when 440C was basically a super steel, we go through, obviously, we're as we go through time, steels are going to get better. And I don't see it stopping right now. I think we're still going to keep coming out with new steels. And that's the thing, is like, what's the new steel going to be next year? Or, You know, what is the steel that already does exist that's very rare that's going to become mainstream? So, I like that. I would love to see certain steels that we don't see become the new super steel. There's certain steels I wish we would see a lot less of, but like S35VM becoming a budget steel, yeah, it's going to be. It's a fact. It will become a budget steel. Most companies will stop using S35VN on expensive knives. The problem with that is that people are going to own an expensive knife that has S35VN from 5 years ago, right? Now, people are going to start looking at it like, oh, that's a budget steel, right? Because now I can get it from this company for $50. But it's like, that's not the way it works. We have to get away from looking specifically at the number of the steel and looking at the company and the heat treat that comes with it. That's what's important. And S35 is a very, very well-rounded steel. We should appreciate S35VN when it's done right more than for the price. And I get caught up with the same shit. So I'm talking to myself when I'm saying this stuff too. You know, like, but like the QSP Penguin, $53. That's a really good deal for S35VN. But I highly doubt that that S35VN is going to be as reliable as, say, Spyderco's S35VN. It's not going to be. It'll never cut as good as that. Now, you're going to have certain steels that do good across the board, like 14C28N. I know you guys love it when I talk about that. You guys are probably getting sick of it, but it does good no matter who's heat treating it. That's why I would love to see companies focus on that. Think about that. Think about it tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, three knife companies said, you know what? The steel, whatever steel it is, that's not going to be our focus this year. This year is going to be us trying to make the most superior heat treat possible on all our blades. So if we're using 14C28N, we are going to see or test how it does at, say, 61 HRC. And if it's doing what we think it's going to do, then that's what we're going to run it at. Or say M390, right? We're doing M390 this year, but we can guarantee you that it will be heat treated at 63 HRC. Can you fucking imagine? People would actually feel what M390 is supposed to feel like rather than feeling what it's not supposed to. Because 90% of people that have M390 have never experienced M390. It's just the way it is. You have M390, but you don't. You know, you have M390 that performs like S30V, and that's just the way it is because it's not heat treated to the performance that it's supposed to be. It's not, done right. And like, I think testing have shown that M390 performance comes out over 62 HRC. I think we're okay, right? The community, because we understand, right? We understand that companies can't just do certain things. So we understand that if we can get it at 60, we're happy, right? Between 60 and 62, we're happy. But I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's between 62 and 64 is where M390 shines. Now, that's obviously based on whether or not it has a good heat treat, with the HRC. But I'm saying if it has a good heat treat, then the HRC really, its performance comes out with like 62 to 64 HRC. The cookies ain't done. Right, exactly, JN, exactly. These cookies are tasting like, I know you said it's chocolate chip, but it ain't tasting like chocolate chip. It's tasting like chocolate shit. Got some money to spend. Should I get something obscene? JK 20CV and Murdered Out Color or Liang Ma Field Duty EDC? I'll be honest, I like the Liang Ma Field Duty. That's what I would get if it was my money. But that's just my opinion. I haven't tried the J Cape, but I already know I would pick the Liang Ma. That's just my opinion, though. Right, Russ. Yes. Pick a steel and perfect it. Because think about this, right? Think about it really. Every year, 2 years, whatever it is, the steel changes, right? The steel changes. But has the heat treat improved? Like, it's like, okay, we got S35 VM. We'll sell it to you for this much. Oh, next year, okay, we got M390 for you now. We got M390. Come get it. Oh, we got S90V for you, you know? And it's like, but every single one of them were, they're they're basically getting the same results. Literally, you have S35VN that did as good as S35VN could do because it's probably a little bit easier to heat treat. Then the M390 came along, and guess how much performance it had better than S35VN? Not a damn. Not a damn. You might as well have paid less money for the S35VN because you got shit for the M3. You got better stain resistance, so good for you for not, you know, patinaing your blade. But then you get another steel to come along because what is it? You know, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong about any of this information, but I think in order for a steel to be superior to another, I think it has to be at least 10% better in edge retention. So say for M390, right? For you to say S90V is better than M390, and I'm just shitting things out. You can say whatever. If you're going to say K390 is better than M390, if you're going to say Maxima, whatever, it has to be at least 10% better for them to make that steel or make another steel and say it's superior to the next. Because if it's only 2% better, that's negligible, right? It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. That can come out with, you know, with just using it wrong. So I think 10% is where it's at for them to come out with a new steel and say it's superior. It's harder to sell a heat treat to the masses. All their reptile brains see is the steel on the blade. Well said, Fiend. Well said. You're so right. And it has to do with, like we were just talking about earlier, with the, you know, your span of being able to lock on and pay attention and understand and learn or whatever, your retention, because people aren't sitting there long enough to understand. They see a number and they want to hear this is superior to this. They don't want to hear why or anything. Just tell me which one's better. And it's like, okay, well, I can tell you on paper this one's better, but in all reality, although it's not, right? It's not. False. Better is better. Right? Exactly. Grabbed a Spyderco Alcione BD1 off Blade Forums. New in box, $40. Love them budget blades. Yeah, I love them budget blades too. I ended up with black G10, but the carbon fiber was my number one choice. Yeah, I hate it when I want a knife, but I want, you know, say the micarta one, and all they have is the carbon fiber one. It'll literally make me not buy the knife because what attracts me to that knife is, you know, whichever one. But that's happened to me so many times. Lindy Lou says, in reality, it's difficult to say one steel is better than another without the context of application. Right, exactly. But we've literally got accustomed to calling this steel better than this steel better than this steel. Like I said, the other day I watched Outpost 76 do a cut test where M390 had 14C28N results from a mediocre 14C28N knives. Mediocre meaning that they were probably in the you know, this is me saying this, most likely from those companies, it was on the low end of HRC. It was probably on the lower end of the quality that 14C can be, which is still good because 14C does good, you know, with, you know, doesn't really have like a specific spot that it does good like M390, but I still don't doubt that, say, 14C28N, he treated at 60 HRC, is going to beat a one at 55. It's just the one at 55 is not going to be butter shit soft like some steels would be if they were the same way. But yeah, it's hard to say anything's better, but we've gone accustomed to doing that rather than. That's why I say it'd be awesome if one of these companies would come out and just say, this year, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sell you M390. But guess what we're going to do? We're going to fucking make it so good that you're finally, for the first time in your life, you're going to see what M390 can do, right? Or whatever steel. I don't care what steel it is. They could pick S90V or whatever, S30V. But I think we've already pretty much touched on what S30V can do, but I guarantee there's going to be a point of which this S30V is done better than this one, because some of the companies that say, and you guys already know probably what companies I'm talking about. I don't think I need to say them, but there's going to be some companies that people say these guys do it superior, right? But they don't. They're probably doing the same recipe as, and it is a recipe, and I understand that this is a recipe that's been tested and they already know this is where it's superior, because there is going to be a level of which that it's, you know, now it's not going to be tough. It's going to be too hard. It's going to be chippy. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. And I understand there's some steels that are already tested. It's already too much. Like, you know, we know what this is good at and this is what it's good at. But my question is, are they doing that? Like, okay, we know this is the area, right? This is where it needs to be. Are you telling me 100 out of 100 of your knives coming out of your shop are that? Like, and I don't expect, obviously, budget knives to do that, right? I would never expect that. But I don't know. I just think we do get caught up on the steels rather than the how good they're actually doing. We're getting hooked up on a number, and they're able to sell us shit and tell us it's candy. They're able to do that because of that reason. And I get caught up in the same thing. But put it this way, if I told you I have a knife, right? I have a knife that I made, or whoever made, in titanium or whatever, G10 knife, and it has M390 on it, and I'll give it to you for $3.50. How's your confidence in that? Right? Your confidence is really low. I know it would be. That's kind of like, the way it is with the steel thing. It's like, just because I can get it for $50 doesn't mean I'm getting, M390. I'm getting, it's M390, all right, but you don't expect it to do any better than 14C28N, right? So at that point, why wouldn't you just get a good quality 14C28N? Waiting on those adamantium blades. Adamantium, whatever. What's the alternatives? Buy lesser steels? No thanks. Right. Well, that's I think where it would be. What it would be is buy lesser steels that have a good heat treat, right? Because in reality, right, if we're speaking reality, a lesser steel with a better heat treat will be superior to another steel with a shit heat treat. Cut tests have shown it, right? Like I was talking about. And if you guys haven't seen the video yet, I'm going to expose it. And I don't like doing that to Outpost 76, but he did a video with Hogue's 20CV doing a cut test basically similar to a shit brand. I'm not going to call it a shit brand. That's being mean. A budget brand, a very, very budget brand, 14C28N. And most likely that 14C28N, like I said, wasn't done to the as good as it could have been, as good as some steel. So, I mean, put it this way: which one would you rather do? Right? I'll give you 14C28N done really good for say $75, or I can give you this M390 for $250. Like, you're spending the $200, however much more, for something that's going to do the exact same thing. 14C28N and N690 are a great steel for EDC. Not many of us really need M390. Yeah, but you know what, though? And I hate to shit all over M390 because M390 done right is amazing. It's a really good steel. I just don't think it's the steel that we want to be asking for in 2021 or 2022 from companies that are making high batch heat treats. They're making, think about how many knives we has to do, you know, when they're making a new knife. How many do they come out with at a time? I don't personally know. I'm actually asking, how many knives do they make in one batch? When they drop a knife, like, I know the Ferrum, that's Ferrum Forge, but I would say like the Malice, the first batch that dropped, how many do you think they made? 1,000, 2,000 of them? I don't know. I'm just talking shit. I don't know what the number is, but my point is that you can't expect them to do a great heat treat. And I think they do okay, but we should look for a steel that's a good quality steel that they can heat treat, that they can do and sell to us, so that every time we're getting reliable. You know, this knife has, you know, rated at cutting, you know, this many cuts, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get close to that. You know, I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling, you guys. I hope you guys know my mind. I'm just like speaking my mind right now. I might not mean a fucking bit of what I'm saying. I don't know. I love 14C too. I love 14C. I think the reason why though is because of that reason I just said, like that companies, it doesn't matter if they suck at heat treats, they can still do a decent job. I've never, not once gotten a 14C, and you know, aside from maybe a burnt edge, but I've never really, I don't even know if I've had that. Maybe I've had that, but I've never gotten a 14C and said this has a bad heat treat. I can tell if one has a superior heat treat to another, but never bad. But now I've definitely had bad S35VN. I've definitely had bad M390. I've definitely had bad S9EV. So bucks at 420HC. There you go. Tucson's M390 wasn't heat treated properly. No, but like I said, and I actually say it in a video that I'm posting after this, you're still going to get S30V results. So it's okay to me. That's okay. So Tucson is, I think it's improving, but if I would still pay the same price for S30V, then I'm okay with it. Because if I'm getting S30V results from M390, then, and for the price I'm paying, if I would pay the same price for S30V, then what do I care, right? At that point. Now, when you're talking about spending $250, $350, $450, that's when I start caring. If you're going to give me M390 and fucking titanium with the tolerances that they have, with the action, the fit, the finish, the everything that they have, the geometry, the choils, the everything that they have, and you're going to give it to me for $100, it might not do as good as a superior M390, but you're going to get it the worst case scenario S30V results. Well, then I just ask myself, what if it was S30V? Would I still pay that price? Damn right I would. I paid more for less. So I'm not that worried about them. But obviously, like I said, I think they're starting to do it better, and I would like to see them do it better. But for the price they're giving it to us for, we can't expect it, right? It's kind of like I said before, like if I told you I had a knife right now, an M390, and I give it to you for $3.50, you know, or whatever, you'd probably say, you know, you already know it's junk. In this case, they're selling it to us for a price to where it's still okay. Like, I don't expect it to be heat treated this. And I think their HRC was actually okay with their M390. I think it was just the heat treat period, because they're probably doing so many of them. But yeah, they weren't good. They were not good. I think the M390 on my TS226 is just fine. And that's another thing. If you can't tell, right? Like most Tucsons, I've never been able to really notice either, but I can tell from watching other people do cut tests and stuff that, yeah, it's not as superior as it should be. But like I said, at the worst case scenario, I think the worst case scenario was like S30V results. So to me, I'm good with that for the price I'm paying, because I would pay the same price if they fucking wrote S30V on it. You know what I mean? Very true, Breeze. Some people like Ferrari because it goes fast, doesn't make it a good everyday car. So true. So true. For $3.50, I at least have paperweight and a joke. Right. Exactly. That's what it would be. And isn't that true of Breeze said, right? It's like everybody wants a Ferrari because it's fast, but that doesn't make it a great everyday car. And some of these steels, somebody asked me earlier about what I thought about S110V. And before I say this, just know I don't have a lot of experience with it, but from the little experience I do have with it, what I say about it, I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's good. But for me, I'm not a huge fan because of these reasons. Now, one, I think it'll cut for a long time. Holds, it gets very, very sharp, stupid sharp. It's going to be a little harder for most people to sharpen it, but use diamonds, you should be okay. But anyways, it keeps an edge for a very long time. The problem is that you have to be cutting lightweight materials or medium weight materials. You can't be hard on it. If you're hard on it, it'll chip. So it's gonna chip. Now, the experience that I had with it was that I couldn't get it to strap back. So when I used it, like some steels where like the edge will fold or whatever, I can strap it out and keep it going for another week or something, strap it again, or strap it every day, whatever. I didn't get that experience with S110V. I got the experience that after I used it, once it started going a little bit, it would not strap back. I would literally have to resharpen it. That, like I said, I've had a little experience. So that's my experience as of right now. Maybe if I tried it more, maybe it was just the knife I had. But so that's why I'm not a massive fan of it as of right now. Maybe in the future, I might like it more, but I don't know. What does a bad heat treat affect the most? I'd imagine it may chip or not keep the edge for as long as it should. Well, Lindy Lou, she even said it. It won't even get sharp. That's one thing. So like I had S35VN with a bad heat treat, not a poor heat treat, a bad heat treat. I couldn't get it to get an edge. And I've sharpened a lot of knives and there was no way it was not getting sharp. Every time it started to get sharp, it would go right back to dull. It was like as if it couldn't hold the burr, because you got to get a burr on both sides to get the apex. You knock the burr off, and then what's exposed is the edge. It wouldn't do that. Now, another thing is, yes, if you do get an edge on it, it's not going to last long. It'll be soft. So, because, the harder it is, the better, the keener the edge it's going to take. The softer it is, it's not going to take as keen of an edge. So, yeah, it might not get as sharp. It'll get duller faster, and then strapping and honing isn't going to be as easy or isn't going to work at all because it's not hard enough. It's kind of like Play-Doh. Think about Play-Doh. Think about making Play-Doh sharp, right? Think about molding Play-Doh into an edge. It's just impossible. You can't fucking make Play-Doh sharp. It's kind of like that. And then if it's too hard or burnt, think of it like chalk, right? Think about trying to sharpen chalk. You'll get it sharp for a second, but the second you use it, it goes right to dull, right? So think about it like that, and it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. You want that happy medium, not too hard, not too soft. You want that perfectness. So what's up, y'all? How you been? What's up, Double D? Bad heat treat could be over or under temperature or time. I'd imagine different effects across the board. Right. Exactly like I just said. Like it can be one or the other. Too soft or too hard. So just depending on how it is, because a lot of people relate it to it being soft, but a lot of times it's just it's burnt. It's like, and I don't mean like burnt edge. I mean the fucking thing is burnt, the whole thing. So it just kind of depends. Story time. What time is it? Okay, yeah, it's that time. So I got a quick one. I can never seem to get the technique down on sharpening, especially on my curvier blades. You want round stones for curvy blades or small stones? Curvy round stones usually work the best, but watch some of my videos. I got a lot of videos on sharpening that can probably help you understand what's going on, because it's about following the grip pattern, right? Following the grip pattern, chasing the burr, and rinse and repeat. That's basically what it's about. But if you ever need any help, just get a hold of me on email or Instagram, and I'll see what I can do. So this story is about, I actually got a couple stories, but I don't know if I'll get to both of them. This one's a quick story. But can we bring back trivia one of these lives? Hell yeah, we can. We'll bring back some trivia. Hell yeah. Not this one, because I ain't got no trivia ready, but we will. So this was a time I was driving. I think it was a 1961 Ford. It was an old truck. It was a classic for sure. Classic truck. I mean, it had I think it was a 391 in the for the motor. Anyways, point is I was driving that bitch. Well, I'm taking it right now to go get brakes on it because the brakes were bad. My dad, my dad bought a lot of cars, and I mean a lot of cars. So like I was constantly being sent to pick things up, and pick this up here, drop this off here, grab this trailer, bring it here. Every day, all day, just some type of mission. And these missions could get fucking crazy. And like right now, I could probably think of a million missions that were just batshit crazy to start off with, let alone how it turned out. Anyway, so this one was, I had to go pick up this truck and bring it to the shop to get the brakes done. I was already told, listen, the brakes are bad, so expect bad brakes. Okay, I'm used to that, right? I'm used to bad brakes. Bad brakes are nothing. Get behind the wheel. I'm driving down the road. And I'm coming up to the light. I'm going about 35, maybe 40. And I go to hit the brakes. Bam, right to the floor. The brake lines snap. I mean, completely snap. The brakes go all the way down to the floor. And I'm coming up to a light packed with cars. I'm flying up on them. And so now I got to ride that shit out. Like there ain't no stopping, right? And so I got the gear shifter, right? So fucking I hit I think right off the bat I couldn't just keep going straight. So I had to go around people, up on the sidewalk, in between the poles, fucking and I got to still make it to my destination. I'm not smart enough to say I'm stopping here, bring a trailer, pick it up. No, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. So, I got the gear shifter, and, I'm playing the gears, right? First, second, third, to slow it down. That's how I'm slowing it down. Instantly, I think that's what I did coming up to the light. Right when it went bang, I had to make an instant reaction, I think, on the first light, because it just happened so fast. But drop it down and it slows down a little bit. It wasn't a stick, but from the gear shifter. But on the way from there, from where it broke and getting around that light and not dying, I had to go through ditches and everything because I couldn't stop. I mean, if I crammed it down to the ground as hard as I could, it would slowly slow down. So like going from 30 to 0 would take you 2 blocks or something. I don't remember how far, but and this is a big, heavy truck. It's a big pickup truck, all metal. So you don't want to hit nothing. But yeah, I was through people's ditches, going around cars, and I did wind up making it. But man, it was crazy. The fucking entire way was nuts. Hopefully it was a manual. I wish it was a manual. But no, it was not. I used to have a manual that I used to have to push start every time. Pop the clutch. My brake lines on my car were really close to snapping. I am really glad my mechanic caught it before it got that far. Triple EDC, thanks, bud. In case anyone is planning to switch over, I am not going live until after this. Got to switch hotel rooms too. Every light bulb is out in my room. Definitely after this, go check out and wait for Triple EDC to go live. I will also be uploading a video after this that's already ready to go up. But and thank you for the donation, Triple. People watching must have been wondering if you were drunk. Yeah, I bet you they wonder a lot more than that, because they probably, half of them probably thought that guy's on his way to kill somebody, or like his wife's cheating on him, like, what I mean? Because think about the guy who ain't stopping for the light. He's going in between the poles and he ain't stopping for shit. He's getting to his destination. And there was a couple times I had to take routes like that. Like, there was a reason why I was doing it. I remember one time, I shouldn't tell that story. But yeah, it was crazy. What time is it? 9:06. All right. We're gonna end it here, guys. Definitely check out Triple EDC's channel. I appreciate all you guys coming and hanging out with me. What is it? Saturday, we'll be back and we'll have some more fun stories and some more knife talk. And here is the link to Triple EDC. Definitely go check him out and hang out. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace and hanging out. Oh, hey, Triple. Thank you, man. Because I had to do at least one donation without plugging much. Plug away, man. Plug away. I don't mind. I love it when people plug. So, yeah, definitely go over there. It will be live in about 15 minutes, he says. So, leave us hanging. Oh, I love you guys. Peace. Oh, no, I got to do the weird close out while I'm looking at you guys.